I'm amazed at how closely everything is figured. I'm glad I don't have to account for my household money down to the last penny. I'm inclined to take my profits out first.
Well, you can't do that in business. Not if you want to stay in business. And Medigold is pretty proud of its 50 years. But it's looking forward to the next 50 years, too.
And from everything I've seen and heard in Medigold plants all over the country, you have every good reason to be proud. Goodbye, Mr. Wells, and thank you very much.
Goodbye, Mrs. Harwood. And if you're ever down this way again, be sure to stop in and see us.
I'd love to. Thank you.
And in appreciation of the courtesies extended her by the Medigold organization, Mrs. Harwood, true to her word, visited Mr. Haskell and told him of the very interesting experiences she had visiting the Medigold plants.
I hadn't realized before how many people are working to meet the food requirements of America, and how much carefulness and cleanliness and detail goes into it.
Yes, we spare no time or effort in rendering service and fine products. In return, we receive the customer's dollar with which to continue our business.
And then Mr. Haskell asked me if any of the plant managers had shown me how the sales dollar is divided. I told him that they had and that I'd found it very interesting. And it meant a great deal more to me after having seen just how much work and expense are involved in getting dairy products to our homes every day. Mr. Haskell summed it up in a few words. He said that the dairy industry is the largest industry in the world. Millions of people depend upon it, and the industry in turn depends upon the people it serves. And when our trip was over, I truly felt I'd spent one of the most pleasant and worthwhile summers. I'd learned a great deal that I didn't know before, and I think I'm better able now to appreciate the tremendous job that people in the food industry are doing.
Thanks, Mrs. Harwood, for sharing your trip with us. You made us feel as though we were all right along with you. And I think we all realize now that supplying food for 150 million people 365 days a year is certainly a big job. And while Mrs. Harwood was talking, I jotted down a few notes of my own. Imagine 40 million housewives going to the store each day for groceries. Think of the millions of farmers working to produce the food. Then add to that millions of people in transportation who operate the railroads and the trucks. Then the many hundreds of thousands working in the food plants. Also, there must be thousands of grocery stores ready to serve us. That really gives us some idea of the tremendous scope of the food industry.
That's absolutely right, Mrs. Thompson. And here's how Beatrice Foods Company is fulfilling its share of the task. In 1 year, it produces enough butter to spread 3,500,000,000 slices of bread. Enough milk for 1,040,000,000 generous glasses. Enough ice cream for more than 850 million delicious servings. With these and many other wholesome, healthful foods, Beatrice is doing its part to render a service to the American people in helping to provide life's greatest necessity, food.
The wings of the air service. Have you ever wondered how Uncle Sam's pilots keep such accurate formations? Handling these flying engines in flight formation calls for the highest type of skill. Perfect coordination of mind and muscle is required merely to fly, but the formation flyer has to do even more. He has to fly his own plane automatically while he keeps his mind on the one ahead. He sees what's going to happen before each movement starts. A moment's hesitation would be just too much. For advance information on what the next move will be, he watches the control surfaces of the commander's plane. In close formation, he even watches the hands of the pilot next to him. If all the planes in the formation could fly 5 miles apart, it would be safer. But close formation training is important. Formation maneuvering is necessary for defense. The group is able to protect itself when each plane covers another's blind spot. To offset the element of danger, the flyer relies upon alertness. It is this constant vigilance that makes formation flying possible. On the ground, too, there are formations. Wherever automobiles are driven in numbers, there are the problems of many drivers close together. Safety for each driver depends on the alertness of all. If all roads were a mile wide, it would be fine. Then cars could travel a mile apart. But our highways aren't that wide. For the safety of all who ride in automobiles, all the care the formation flyer practiced in the air must be used on the ground. The formation driver has a bigger job than the formation flyer. He has to keep his mind on 4 cars at once. The car he rides in, the car ahead, the car behind, and the car around the corner he can't see. The careful driver keeps the flyer's view of his entire formation in mind at all times. There's nothing difficult about that. You understand it, don't you?
Why, no. How can you be in the car and get an airplane view at the same time?
That's a fair question. The idea is to keep a picture in your mind of what you're doing without taking your attention off your immediate driving problems. You may need a little practice. Suppose you get in this car and try it out. Maybe that will make it easier to understand, and you'll be a better driver for it.
Why, me? I've never had an accident.
Good. But get in anyway, just for practice. You can drive this nice white car.
Might as well try it. There we are. How do you start this thing? Oh, all you do is step on the gas. Well, here goes. Let's get out of this parking lane.
Wait a minute.
Haven't even started yet.
You've started plenty. Let's get up above and let the airplane view show us what might have happened if you hadn't stopped. See that white car pulling out from the curb? That's you. This is a picture of what you were doing just a moment ago. Now let's see what could have happened. By cutting around a double-parked car, you might force a car coming up behind you into a car coming in the other direction. Before you cut into traffic, there are 4 things to think about. Look behind you, look ahead of you, remember the corners where the 4th car may be, and then signal plainly what you're going to do.
Look behind, look ahead, remember the corners, signal plainly.
Right. It only takes a second longer, and we're off to a good start. Now...
This year, there will again be thousands of innocent victims of those who will not recognize this obligation. I will be among the last papers of tens of thousands who will have no further use for me. And I may be merely a means of identification of almost 1 million whose injuries may be permanent. 1 million accident victims whose numbers contain twice as many 15 to 24-year-old drivers as any other. Over and over, I ask myself, why? Is it the supposed thoughtlessness of youth that takes such a toll? Is it inexperience that leads to the taking of foolish chances? Is it the failure of adults to teach the young people the right way to drive? Or is it my fault? Have I allowed myself to become taken for granted? I try to tell people when they write their names across my face that they're signing more than a signature, that they are signing a pledge to be the kind of driver they want others to be. I try to tell people that as a nation of more than 50 million drivers, we owe to each other the courtesy, the fair play each of us expects. As a nation, we set great store by sportsmanship. Almost all of us at some time play the game. And no matter what the game may be, it has its rules. Rules of courtesy and fairness and sportsmanship. Rules that determine the pattern of action of all who play. Each game has its code of rules, and each set of rules is known and respected by all who play and all who watch. We have come to demand fair play and sportsmanship in all things, great and small. It has become second nature, for example, for those who play golf to allow others to play through. For the bowler to carefully avoid the almost invisible foul line. For the runner to stay in his lane. The same rules of sportsmanship apply to driving an automobile. Unfortunately, there are drivers amongst us who are poor sports, drivers who can dish it out, but can't take it. They are the reckless, who cause the accidents that maim and kill. They are the offenders, whose invasion of the rights of others may lead to curtailment of their own rights. For remember, I am your permit to drive, not your right to drive, for you are entitled to drive only as long as you abide by the rules of driving. The rules of driving are fundamentally simple, based on common sense. Common sense safety for yourself and for others. When you're walking, for instance, say by yourself, or even with a few other people on a country road, there's room to spare, and walking is no problem. But this milling throng in the heart of a great city can represent the traffic problem of today. When you look down on it, there's not much difference between a jam of people and a jam of automobiles. But when you look closely at the people, when you get down among them, you'll find there's a vast difference. As members of a group of civilized human beings, each going about his own individual business, there is a smooth surge of motion, a unity of action, and there's respect for the rights of others, a polite avoidance of contact, wholehearted cooperation, and courtesy. So it can be with the milling throng of automobiles across our land. So it can be with you. Staying off the white lines. Waiting for the green lights. Stopping at the stop signs. Slowing down in school zones. Observing the traffic signs. And thinking. Thinking while you drive about your driving. Keeping your mind on your driving and your eye on the road. The thinking driver, the alert driver, takes no chances with the lives of himself and others. The alert driver can avoid accidents. He can slow down, for instance, in time to protect himself and others, in time to avoid the aggravation of minor damage, damage that costs money and denies the use of the car. You pay the cost of the driving mistakes of others, and they of yours, in more stringent traffic regulations, in higher insurance.
All of this, the power of our complex age, we owe to the green plants. Green plants and what they do with water and air in the sunlight. Green leaves and the wonder worker in them, the sun-trapped chlorophyll. The sun's energy caught and fixed in a gleaming sugar crystal. Green plants' gift to the living world. Food of nature. Food of man. Source of his development and power through the ages.
Historic Golden Gate is the entrance from the Pacific Ocean to the San Francisco Bay. It is now spanned by the longest suspension bridge in the world. Here, in one of the world's largest landlocked harbors, dock the ships of the seven seas. Pleasure boats, too, break out their white sails and run down the wind. Alcatraz, a grim federal prison, is built on a rock jutting up from the center of the bay. Coit Memorial Tower tops historic Telegraph Hill, where for years the arrivals and sailings of ships were watched and reported. The seven hills of the city look down on the bay, and beyond is a gigantic new bridge, over 8 miles long, that joins San Francisco with the East Bay cities, a monument to the vision and skill of man. This colossal structure tunnels through Yerba Buena Island and crosses the largest navigable body of water yet spanned. To the west lies the center of the great city, rich in history, but progressive and modern today, a dominant financial and commercial metropolis of the West. At the foot of Market Street is a big ferry terminal. Its tall tower, long a famous landmark that can be seen for miles around. From high on Twin Peaks, the beautiful view of the city gives one an idea of its expanse and its many tall buildings on high hills. Market Street is a main business thoroughfare so wide that it has 4 car tracks. It extends diagonally across the city from the ferry terminal out to the Twin Peaks. With its smart shops and theaters, it is a great white way. All about the city, there are many sidewalk flower stands, attractively displaying their colorful and fragrant blooms. Garden spots as lovely as the flower markets of the old world, and everyone buys cut flowers and bouquets a year round. The center of downtown San Francisco is at Market, Kearny, and Gary Streets. Here stands the fountain presented to the city in 1875 by Lotta Crabtree, beloved actress of the Sierras. Facing Union Square, where uptown and downtown merge, is the St. Francis Hotel, and in the lovely palm-shaded square, the Dewey Memorial Monument. Some of the streets are so steep that the cars must be run on cables. They're revolved about by the motorman and conductor at the Avenue Terminal on a turntable. A quaint sight indeed. Yes, sir, in San Francisco, hills are hills, and motorists and their brakes must both be good for safe driving as up and down they go. The magnificent new Civic Center includes the Exposition Auditorium, the War Memorial Opera House, and the Veterans Building. The massive City Hall is an impressive building. Its dome is nearly as high as that of the Capitol at Washington. Because of the nearness to the sea, gulls, not pigeons, are the pets of the plaza grounds. The Exposition Auditorium and many other great buildings form an inspiring group about a flower-studded plaza. The new United States Mint is a building of modernistic lines, a distinctive structure appropriate for its purpose. In its well-guarded vaults are stored millions in gold bullion and silver bars. Frequently, the passers-by stop to watch the careful transfer of precious metal. Great quantities are received, and Uncle Sam takes no chances. It is handled with military discipline. Here are minted the copper, nickel, gold, and silver coins for the Pacific Coast, the adjoining western states, and the Philippines. Ingenious machines stamp, weigh, and count coins of all denominations, tons of them in a year. Chinatown, the largest Oriental city in the Occident. In its little park stands the new steel statue of Sun Yat-sen, the father of New China. The streets are lined with pagodas, joss houses, ancient shrines, bazaars, and cafes. Here are silks and incense, teak wood and ivory, and a soft-spoken people slowly move about their work and play, still maintaining all the traditions of the Far East. Frequent fantastic ceremonies celebrate holidays of old China in the traditional manner. On New Year's Day, all debts are paid and offerings made at the temple by young and old and rich and poor as they file by the altar of Buddha and generously give. There is news from across the Pacific posted every day on the bulletin of the Chinese journals. Not good news today. With native mannequins, a modern fashion show displays the latest styles as well as the ornate ancient costumes worn for centuries in old Cathay. These young ladies dress as well as their sisters of the Western world, and sometimes more picturesquely. Colorful Fisherman's Wharf is like the docks at Old Naples. A fish dinner on the wharf is long remembered as an unusual treat. Swarthy fishermen mend their nets and prepare to sail out to sea. They will bring back a big catch, luscious seafoods of the deep Pacific. Cracked crabs are but one of the many famous delicacies served here. On the site of the Panama Pacific Exposition of 1915, there are still standing and used some of the most beautiful buildings, monuments of the good taste of the last generation. San Francisco's most historic building is Mission Dolores, founded by Spanish monks in 1776. Many unusual relics are seen here from the days when California was ruled by Spain and Mexico. Golden Gate Park is the largest man-made park in the world. The DeYoung Memorial Museum houses many precious exhibits of paintings and statuary, beautiful buildings and monuments set in a garden spot of over 1,000 acres. Winding drives run from the city center to the sea. A singing waterfall in the heart of the park makes the city seem far away. It is easily reached by smooth, picturesque roadways that lead from many entrances. Bridle paths lure the horsemen and horsewomen, too. Rolling sheep pastures suggest rest and quiet. Exotic blooms of every land grow well in the botanical gardens. Buffalo graze peacefully, reminiscent of the great herds that roamed the prairies and plains of the early West. These drives seem far away from the city's whirl. Golf is played almost in the shadow of the Golden Gate, and some of the finest courses that golfers know are within the boundaries of the city and easily reached. Directly overlooking the Golden Gate is the impressive California Palace of the Legion of Honor. High on the Pacific shore stands the Cliff House, a noted landmark since before the Civil War. The broad windows look out on the rolling ocean, the harbor forts, and the famous Seal Rocks. There are hundreds of seals here, and they play in the foamy spray and breaking waves. The Esplanade skirts the wide beaches of the sparkling Pacific shore, a charming drive along the sea leading to the coast highways beyond. And the old Dutch windmill waves its big arm in welcome or adieu to ships in the great harbor. San Francisco by the Golden Gate, city of fond memories and visions of progress for tomorrow.
What? is the gospel. I declare unto you the gospel, by which also ye are saved, how that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, and that he was buried, and that he rose again. For God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. We present you today, in a new sort of way, the greatest news of the hour. This graphic display is to show you the way the gospel has dynamite power. Now watch closely, my friends, till the whole story ends. What's this? A line's made a stop. My, how nicely it bends. Now look there, my friends, it appears to be forming a heart. This heart in God's sight is so fine, clean and white, that Adam's own heart it must be. We read in the light of God's word, pure and bright, that Adam was sinless and free. God gave him a place as the first of the race, in a garden alone in his state. What care was revealed when there in the field God gave him a wife for a mate. In them was no shame, for God in his name created them sinless in grace. But rebellions to blame, they stayed not the same, for they sinned and they ruined the race. This blackness you see is sin's misery, staining our picture of white. For Satan was sly as he told his foul lie, and he darkened God's wonderful light. Sin shadowed the soul, till blacker than coal the hearts of the two came to be. So they shamefully tried their bodies to hide, making aprons from leaves of a tree. We read in Genesis 3:7, and the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together, and made themselves aprons. Now Adam, you know, was sinful, and so we commence with him in our story. And we, here below, are sinners.
This long-established company, which has served its customers faithfully for more than 80 years, continues to grow with the population. Old Dobbin of the early years is only a memory now. We are especially proud of our numerous parks and our recreational program for youngsters. There are many areas in which supervised play is helping to build stronger, healthier bodies among the junior generation, at the same time reducing delinquency. Fiesta time is just a little more colorful, a little more romantic in this exciting, fun-loving town. And don't overlook the fact that Hollywood and Sunset Strip night spots are only a few minutes away. Looking out over the coast highway, the scenic route to San Francisco, you begin to realize why this is frequently called the American Riviera. The delightfully fresh, smog-free air, clear blue sky, and balmy sunshine which prevails most of the time are potent ingredients for good health and a sense of well-being at any age. The University of California at Los Angeles, more familiarly known as UCLA, is located in nearby Westwood and is one of the nation's foremost institutions of higher learning. It is universally recognized for its leadership in the fields of science and medical research. If you should plan to fly here in your own plane, you land at bustling Clover Field, which is just a stone's throw from Los Angeles International Airport. This helicopter firm located here performs many unusual and hazardous services in the area. This airport is said to handle more private air traffic and charter flights than any other airport in the country.
Many golfers consider beautiful Riviera Country Club to have one of the finest courses in the West. Major tournaments are frequently held here. On weekends, you can witness polo at its best in this magnificent setting on the Will Rogers estate. Yes, this is Santa Monica, a seashore paradise, a great place in which to vacation, to work, to live. Santa Monica, where the mountains meet the sea. Yes, you probably get the idea by now that I like it here. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention in the beginning about the boy you saw so often. Yeah, that's right. He's ours.
America, here is the record of it to judge for yourself. City streets, pounded by ever-increasing traffic, are modernized, resurfaced, thousands of blocks which mean huge savings in local tax money. Vital to the communities which they serve are the thousands of miles of highways, constructed and improved by the Works program. The need for first-class highways grows constantly as the automobile and the motor truck become increasingly important in both city and rural commerce. In many regions, great loss has befallen farmers and other rural residents during periods of bad weather which made secondary roads impassable. The need for adequate farm-to-market roads, which would make the transportation of farm produce independent of weather conditions, has been recognized in all parts of the country. But not until the beginning of the Works program was it possible to initiate a general plan for the development of farm-to-market roads. This plan brings immediate improvement in local business and property values wherever a secondary road is completed. At last, the farmer finds it possible to reach his market over well-constructed, weatherproof roads. For greater utility. Many thousands of such jobs as these dot the map of the United States, giving work and hope to people who can't find jobs, impetus to retail trade and heavy industry, and permanent improvements to a host of communities for the years to come. Not only was it necessary to find employment for workers accustomed to manual labor, but also there was need to employ others whose training and experience fitted them for professional and other skilled work. For these so-called white-collar workers, each community had to plan jobs which would utilize and preserve their skill and training. And above all, the work must be useful, a real contribution to the welfare of the community. In planning traffic control for congested cities, jobs have been found which require varying degrees of skill. In the study of traffic problems, the first step is to determine the number of vehicles passing a given point. Then experts are employed to lay out new routes and regulations which will ensure greater safety for both motorists and pedestrians. Manpower for hundreds of such surveys is provided by the Works program. Tests have been devised to determine the ability and fitness of drivers so that the element of human failure may be eliminated. In cooperation with the police departments of several cities, automobile inspection stations have been established in an effort to reduce the number of unsafe vehicles on the road. Under the supervision of expert mechanics, every safety device is carefully checked for perfect operation. The laws of many states and cities require a regular inspection of this nature, and the possession of an up-to-date inspection label is necessary before the car owner may use his automobile on the streets and highways. Another example of useful employment is found in the sewing rooms operated by the Works program in practically every city in the country. Expert craftsmanship is encouraged in design groups associated with the sewing projects. Women who are the principal support of their families are paid for their work, and the millions of garments and miscellaneous articles they produce are distributed free to families on relief or to tax-supported institutions. For some of the women who work in these sewing rooms, the training and practical experience they receive will not only make them better housewives, but it may also open up avenues to a permanent source of income. Many other types of employment are provided for women. In a number of weaving projects, instruction is given in an interesting and useful craft. Part-time employment is provided in many kitchens where clean, wholesome school lunches are prepared for undernourished children of needy families. In libraries and schools, skilled workers are employed in repairing and rebinding millions of books. In many places where books were hard to find, over 2,000 traveling libraries now supply the demand for knowledge and entertainment and general health supervision. No other medical assistance of this nature is available. The nursing profession is found in the many household training classes operated by the WPA. Here, future housewives are instructed in homemaking, and inexperienced girls from relief families are given training which will make them self-supporting. As the girls master each branch of household art, their progress is indicated on a chart. Upon graduation, the girls are placed through an employment service conducted by the Works program. To the young people of the nation, eager in their quest of knowledge, the Works program, in cooperation with the National Youth Administration, offers part-time employment to enable them to continue their education. The type of employment offered is determined by the needs of the community in which the young people live. In fruit-growing districts, canning units have been set up in which girls can and preserve fruit for local householders. Part of the product is distributed to families on relief. An interesting project in New England is that in which boys, many of them from seafaring families, are engaged in the catching and breeding of fish and the restocking of fishing grounds. As they cast their nets into the sea, the action symbolizes their search for education, security, the simple riches of life. And toward this objective, the normal heritage of every young American, the Works program offers them a helping hand.
Hello? Yes, this is Mary. Oh, hello, Frank. What? You do? Well, just a minute. I better ask. That was Frank Roberts. He wants me to go to a dance with him tomorrow night, out at the lake.
What do you think, dear?
Well, we all feel that Mary is still a little young to go out in the evening, especially so far out of town.
That's right. Sorry, Mary, but I'm afraid the answer has to be no.
Does anything like this ever happen in your home, in your family? When it does, what is the usual reaction? Suppose, for instance, you were in Mary's place. What do you think she should do next? Should she do this?
Hello? Frank? The family says no, so I guess our date's off. I'm sorry. Goodbye.
You've just seen one way to meet an everyday situation. Was it the best way? Or should Mary do this when her father says,
Sorry, Mary, but I'm afraid the answer has to be no.
Okay, Dad. I'll call it off. Say, how would this be? Why couldn't I have Frank and the gang over here tomorrow night? We could all play the radio and dance and make sandwiches.
Hey, that would be swell. It sure would.
It sounds fine to me.
Absolutely. You go right ahead, Mary.
Oh, thanks, everybody. I'll tell them right away.
That was method number 2. Here's a third possibility.
Can't I go, Daddy, please? I want to so much.
Sorry, Mary, but it's all settled.
I just know this family wants all. I'm dead.
That was method number 3. Here's number 4.
Has to be adjusted. Estimate the distance between camera and object and set the calibrated ring accordingly. This scene is incorrectly focused. As the focusing ring is rotated to the correct position, the scene becomes sharp. There's our Joe again with his camera. I hope he's smart enough not to make the same mistake. Mrs. Teitelhacker sure looks like she's been busy. And so does the baby. Let's go back to Joe's living room and see how things look on the projection screen. I'll say this for Joe. He didn't make the same mistake twice. He overexposed. To obtain a good picture, the film must be correctly exposed. The lens is similar to the human eye. In the eye, there is an iris which expands and contracts to vary the amount of light reaching the retina. In the lens, there's a diaphragm, which also expands and contracts to vary the amount of light reaching the film. As the light increases, the diaphragm aperture must be made smaller. As the light decreases, the diaphragm aperture must be made larger. When the diaphragm aperture is correct for the amount of light admitted, the scene is properly exposed. If the diaphragm is opened too wide, the film becomes overexposed and is too light. If the diaphragm opening is too small, the film becomes underexposed and is too dark. Another point for the cameraman to consider is the direction of the sunlight. This statue has the sun shining on it from the front. The scene has no depth. It is usually more interesting to place the camera so that the sun lights the object from an angle. Now the statue has shadows in 3 dimensions. You know, cameras are wonderful. When Junior grows up, he can see a movie the first time he walks. And the first time Papa used his camera properly, I hope. You must hold the camera still, Joe. Shall we dissolve to the projection screen? What happened? It seems Mrs. T has a backache and Junior's disappeared. Now, if Joe doesn't mind, the correct way. Compose the scene in the viewfinder carefully. Otherwise, you will lose part of the scene the way Joe likes to do. With the viewfinder, you select good angles. A common fault is to shoot from a straight-on position without considering perspective. The automobile and table appear uninteresting when photographed this way. The most pleasing way of seeing an object is from an angle. And when we see 2 or more sides, we get a feeling of depth. Now the table and automobile take on added interest. People also are more interesting when seen from the side or from above or from below. Well, there's just no stopping our hero. Now he's using a tripod. Ouch! Is there a doctor in the house? Come here, you... Sorry, censored. You can see who wears the brains in that family. Anyone should know better than to set up a tripod on a slippery surface. Anyone but Joe, I guess. Stop. You wouldn't kick a cameraman when he's down, would you? The correct way to set up a tripod is to adjust the legs to the proper height and place it on a non-slippery surface. You can see, obviously, that isn't Joe. The camera is screwed onto the tripod. The tripod then levels. The tripod should be set at the right tension. One hand grips the handle of the tripod, while the other firmly grips the base of the camera. This enables the camera to be rotated slowly and smoothly. This is called panning. If the panning is carried out correctly, the results appear like this. But if the pan is too fast, as in this scene, or too jerky, as in this scene, the results will be useless. But if the pan is smooth, impressive effects can be obtained, including tilting the camera slowly upward. Well, Joe has thrown a party for the neighborhood children.
Rates. Perhaps the poor driver never learned the proper way to drive. You have more opportunity than he. You have the opportunity to learn the right way to drive, the opportunity to avoid the mistakes and habits acquired by others. As a good driver, you will live to enjoy all the fruits of good driving. For I, your permit to drive, and the open sesame to a lifetime of new experience, a lifetime of new beauty. I bring wings to your feet, a freedom of motion you will learn always to cherish. I bring pleasure and responsibility, the responsibility to drive well. I urge you to guard what I stand for I permit you to drive.
And while Mother chats in the living room, Art gets acquainted with two prize calves. Farmer Owens has a very fine herd of Holstein cows. They produce more milk, but it is not as rich as that of other breeds, such as the Guernsey. As the Harwoods travel on their way, they see many herds of Guernseys, for many consider the Guernsey the queen of the dairy industry. Not only does the Guernsey produce a satisfactory quantity of milk, but its richness is exceeded only by one breed, and that is the Jersey. And there's a herd of Black Angus. They are both beef and dairy cows and are seen in growing numbers on American farms. And here's a herd of brown Swiss in charge of Shep. Shep was instructed to bring the herd up where you could get a good look at it, and evidently he understood your every word. Shep has a part in the tremendous task of supplying food for America. Good work, Shep. And as the Harwoods travel farther on, they see many wonderful sights, for there is probably no land with such variety of beautiful scenery. On their trip through the Rockies, the Harwoods meet Meadow Gold trucks, bringing fine Meadow Gold products from central plants to the smaller cities and towns. This service is very extensive and permits communities which could not afford the fine equipment and help of the large plant to share in the benefits of Meadow Gold products. This system of rapid transportation makes Meadow Gold products available everywhere. In the next Meadow Gold town, the Harwoods visit a refrigerated warehouse, and Mrs. Harwood gets some important facts for her paper.
I'm not very clear as to how your plant fits into my paper on the food industry, Mr. Gordon.
Well, if our service were to stop suddenly, housewives would soon notice the absence of many desirable foods from the grocery stores. We're the great community refrigerator, Mrs. Harwood, just like the one in your home. We keep perishable foods at the proper temperatures and distribute them when they're needed.
Well, I suppose then that's why some foods never go out of season.
Yes, the harvesting season on fruits and vegetables covers but 1 or 2 months of the year. But during that time, large quantities are picked, wrapped, and packed for use throughout the rest of the year. But in order to preserve their soundness and quality, they must be stored at keeping temperature, ready for use.
Well, I suppose I hadn't really thought much about how food is stored and distributed.
Most people don't think about it. But while we've had many spectacular inventions in our time, It's doubtful if any of these has added as much to your comfort and convenience as modern refrigeration, such as we have here.
I hadn't realized what an important thing it is, Mr. Gordon. I'd like to see the plant if it's convenient.
Why, of course it's convenient, Mrs. Harwood.
And the Harwoods are provided with heavy coats before they go into the refrigerated rooms. Here they see cold, firm apples, each in its own tissue wrapping and looking good enough to eat. Among the many foods Mrs. Harwood saw were boxes of young friars kept in rooms 20 degrees below zero. Even with their heavy caps and sheep-lined jackets, the workers stay no longer than 2 hours at a stretch in these frigid temperatures.
Well, Mrs. Harwood, do you see now that the refrigerated warehouse is pretty essential in supplying the American housewife with fresh foods at all times of the year?
I certainly do, Mr. Gordon. I'm going to give the refrigerated warehouse a very prominent place in my paper on food. Why, it's far more important than I'd realized.
Yes, it's one of the very important phases of our business. In fact, our specialty foods and services, in which storage is included, account for 14% of our business, and poultry and eggs account for another 8% of company business.
Well, that's 22% in all. Beatrice Foods Company must have a great many refrigerated warehouses.
Yes, and if it weren't for refrigerated warehouses, such as you saw today, there'd be a great waste in crops and harvest. And we not only use our warehouses for Meadow Gold products, but to accommodate other distributors as well.
Well, I certainly have a much clearer picture of how perishable foods are stored and why we can enjoy our favorite foods the year round. And thank you, Mr. Gordon, for taking the time to show some of these things to me.
It was a pleasure to have you here, Mrs. Harwood. A cold place like this doesn't attract many visitors. There's always a warm welcome here for you. Don't forget that.
Oh, well, thank you. Goodbye, Mr. Gordon.
Goodbye, Mrs. Harwood.
And the Harwoods are on their way again. And here along the route, they're held by the peaceful beauty of a river winding through the green countryside. And in a little town in Ohio, in the center of a fine vegetable-growing community, we find the LaChoy plant, which is a subsidiary of Beatrice Foods Company. This plant produces grocery specialties as well as Vegemato, one of the most popular of vegetable juice combinations. Here we see workers picking the red ripe tomatoes in the fields, and trucks picking up the baskets as fast as they are filled. These are taken to the LaChoy plant, where they are graded by federal inspectors, and then are placed in the tomato park, ready to receive their first bath in the large flume which carries them into the plant. The flume has a water current of about 18 miles an hour, and the tomatoes travel through it into the plant, where they are picked up by a conveyor and given a stinging needle point shower. By this time, they appear to be thoroughly cleansed, but for good measure, they are taken through a very high-pressure shower bath, and they come out sparkling clean. Next, they are sorted, then crushed. The fresh juice of the other vegetables, plus a dash of real lemon juice is added, and the vitamin-rich, healthful juice is canned and delivered to the stores. Vegemato is a very popular item from the LaChoy plant. Well, the Harwoods have seen many interesting Meadow Gold plants, but Art's been waiting for one in particular. Now, of course, we don't mean to infer that on this long trip, Art hasn't had his chance to enjoy Meadow Gold ice cream. It's been a refreshing treat all along the way. But an ice cream plant will be the next stop. Hear that, Art? And in this plant, the Harwoods can see one of their favorite foods in the making. Early in the process, ice cream is pasteurized and homogenized. Only the finest ingredients are used. They have been tested for richness and purity and carefully weighed and measured with laboratory precision for uniformity. Here we see the ice cream being fed through stainless steel tubes directly into the large 5-gallon containers which are supplied to fill the orders for sodas, sundaes, cones, and the Meadow Gold Special of the month, which is always something new and tempting. And here we see row after row and gallon after gallon of Meadow Gold ice cream being hardened in the 20 below zero temperature of the hardening room. And the Harwoods see other quantities of ice cream being packed especially for use in the home. This really marvelous packaging machine turns out only the tray pack carton. These tray packs fit right into the freezing compartment of the home refrigerator, making it easy and convenient to serve Meadow Gold ice cream on short notice. And here's something interesting. Ever wonder how they get the stick smack in the middle of the ice cream bar? Well, they first fill the molds with semi-frozen ice cream. Then the sticks are inserted. When hardened, the bars are removed from the mold and placed in chilling chambers. And when frozen hard, they are removed from the chilling chamber. And here you see them getting a bath of rich, sweet chocolate. And they're on their way, each ice cream bar with a smooth coating of the rich chocolate. A special machine quickly inserts the ice cream bars into their protective envelopes at the rate of 100 bars per minute, and they are quickly packed for their journey by refrigerated trucks to points of sale. And while Mom goes up to talk with the plant manager, Art is keeping himself well occupied. Take your time, Mom. It looks like Art's got a full program laid out for himself.
We saw so many flavors of ice cream being made. The children in a whirl. I don't know whether I'll be able to drag them away.
Children aren't the only ones who are fond of ice cream. We work hard to keep up with the demand. Ice cream accounts for a good share of our business. About 20%, I believe.
Well, I'll jot that down in my notebook.
And that gives us a complete picture of the sources of the incoming dollar. Fluid milk and cream, 26%. Butter, 25%. Ice cream, 20%. Specialty foods and services, 14%. Poultry and eggs, 8%. And other manufactured dairy products, 7%. Total, 100%.
You seem to have that notebook pretty well filled, Mrs. Harwood.
Oh, yes. We've seen how milk is processed, how butter and ice cream and chocs and Vegemata are made. We've met the people who do the planning and the ones who carry out the plans. And I'm beginning to get a real idea of the size and extent of the food industry, Mr. Wells. It must take a great deal of capital to run a business like this.
It's true our stockholders supply the initial capital. When you come right down to it, though, it's the customer's dollar that keeps us going and permits us to progress. Let me show you how we spend that dollar, Mrs. Harwood. Oh, yes, here it is. We have a chart made up of figures based on our annual audited report, representing one of the most profitable years in our history. It shows how every penny of the customer's dollar is spent.
Oh, that looks interesting.
This represents the dollar that must buy all materials and ingredients, pay all salaries and wages, repair and replace equipment, and take care of the many expenses necessary in the conduct of the business.
Well, from the way this is divided, it looks like someone gets the lion's share.
Well, the lion's share, of course, goes for our basic materials and takes about 68 cents of the incoming dollar. Jot these figures down as we go along. They provide pretty interesting facts for your paper.
That's 68 cents for basic materials?
That's right. Over 68 cents of every incoming dollar goes to buy milk and cream from the farmer, to purchase sugar, fruits, flavorings. In fact, any ingredient that we need for the processing or manufacture of Meadow Gold products. Now let's add to that about 4 cents of every dollar for packaging. That is, the bottles for milk and cream, the cartons for butter and ice cream, and cans and all containers necessary to deliver goods in a sanitary and convenient manner. Now, just for the basic materials and the packages to do...
Uma cultura do jogo eletrônico, do jogo digital, que tem sido diferencial de gerações, diferencial de momento. E isso, obviamente, é uma manifestação cultural, é um traço cultural do momento que a gente vive.
Os números que a gente tem hoje, são os números que a gente trabalha, é uma população de 6.700.000 casual gamers, que são pessoas que jogam menos de 15 horas por semana e veem no jogo uma forma forte de entretenimento e um hobby, mas não são exatamente gamers que ficam lá, querem descobrir, que passam horas e horas tentando ser melhor nos jogos. A gente tem 200.000 hardcore gamers, que são os gamers que realmente se preocupam muito em games. Games é uma das principais preocupações da vida deles, são os caras que compram CD, que baixam atualizações, que entram na internet, que disputam, participam de pequenos torneios. E a gente tem aí uns 1.000, 1.500 jogadores profissionais, que são jogadores que participam dos principais torneios do mundo, que são obviamente hardcore gamers e que têm chance de ganhar prêmio em dinheiro ou transformar o gaming numa profissão e numa forma de se sustentar.
No começo era diversão, é evidente. Em 96 teve aquele boom de internet, as empresas começaram a investir. A partir do investimento das empresas eu comecei a perceber que tinha uma lógica de mercado por trás disso que daria sustentabilidade para uma carreira nessa área.
Nós somos considerados os hard gamers, né? Aqueles quase viciados.
Pro player.
Pro player.
Várias modalidades, cada um foi com a sua. E o gamer, pra mim, é o cara que tá procurando se profissionalizar, tentar ganhar um pouco, pelo menos se não ganhar a vida com isso, ajudar a conseguir as coisas com o jogo.
Esse em si, de ficar em cyber, assim, de ir pra cyber e ficar pelo menos 4, 5 horas, ninguém gostava, meu pai odiava, acaba varando noite, não vai pro colégio depois. Mas depois ela começa a ver que é um negócio sério, que acaba dando um retorno, né? Acaba vindo um retorno pra casa, começou a aparecer na mídia, começa a ficar mais sossegado, assim. Tá vendo que tá fazendo uma coisa que tá valendo a pena, assim, não jogando fora o seu tempo.
Já teve vezes de minha mãe ameaçar jogar o meu computador da janela, falar que vai me proibir e tudo mais, isso mais no começo. Mas aí com o tempo, mostrando o que era o jogo, que tinha campeonatos, que fazia parte de um time, que era um ambiente legal, eles acabaram entendendo e até passaram aí nos campeonatos e torcer.
Não, vi uma molecada no saguão, achei estranho, perguntei e me falaram desse campeonato. Deus é digital, estamos na época do Deus digital, então Olimpíada digital não é má ideia.
Você concordaria que isso é um esporte?
Que pode jogar de barriga, não, concordo que é um esporte, concordo que há competição e que há mandingas e malícias para poder ganhar. Acho que vai dar bom fruto, é bom que aconteça isso.
A gente vai jogar Counter-Strike, a expectativa está muito grande, o evento parece que vai ser demais, tá traindo muita gente, tem time de todos os lugares do Brasil.
A gente saiu de Minas, com tudo pago, e vim pra cá jogar Counter.
Oi, eu sou o Noid, eu vim de Maceió, aí daí eu vim aqui pra tentar concorrer a CPL com meu time, o Horsepower, vim tentar encavalar todo mundo pela lei da encavalação, só que não deu certo.
Afinal, vamos contra nossos medos mais profundos e vão ser superados nesse momento.
Tem um aqui. Tem outro. Na caixa nova. Boa, porra! Vai, vamos!
Tem mais um, ouvi mais.
Abriu porta.
Olha em cima.
E a vida é muito maior do que aquela experiência, né? A vida é maior do que o videogame, isso é bom deixar claro. Agora, é maior do que qualquer outra experiência, do que o futebol. Tem gente que fica viciada no futebol.
aquela coisa no Rio, do juiz, o Darlan, que já proibiu menores de 18 de pisar em lan house.
Juiz Ciro Darlan, titular da primeira vara da infância e da juventude da comarca da capital do Rio de Janeiro. Bom, dentre outras atividades ligadas à competência que exerço como juiz da infância e da juventude está a de fiscalizar a atividade comercial de games, lan house, que é explorado comercialmente. E nós temos o cuidado de permitir a participação de jovens nessas atividades esportivas, nessas atividades cibernéticas, desde que essa atividade não venha causar prejuízo na formação e no desenvolvimento sadio de crianças e adolescentes, que são pessoas em processo de desenvolvimento. Por isso, nós temos uma equipe de fiscalização que constantemente visita essas casas de espetáculo, essas casas que promovem esses jogos, para verificar se há ou não o respeito a essa peculiaridade dos jovens, que são pessoas em processo de desenvolvimento, e se é permitido ou não, de uma forma ilegal, a participação deles em jogos que estimulem a violência, que estimulem a sexualidade, que estimulem a agressividade, e apenas nesses jogos nós não permitimos a participação desses jogos.
Lá tá meio proibido e liberado. Menor de 18 anos não pode jogar qualquer horário, mas tem uma máfia lá, o pessoal fica usando um walkie-talkie e daí fica quando a polícia chega, bateu a polícia, o cara liga do walkie-talkie lá, chegou a polícia e daí já fecha tudo e começa a botar Homem-Aranha para o pessoal jogar.
É uma questão educativa. Claro que você tem os jogos que realmente banalizam muito a violência, e são jogos até que o próprio Ministério da Justiça chega e já barra no país, e você não consegue nem realmente que esse jogo venha para o mercado.
Se vem dizendo que a exposição à mídia violenta torna a criança mais violenta. Então, a gente foi ver se existe essa relação entre jogo violento e criança violenta. E aí o que a gente percebe é que você não estabelece uma relação de causa e efeito, ou seja, o jogo violento torna a criança mais violenta porque o ser humano não é uma coisa simples assim, ele é extremamente complexo. Mas a gente pode perceber entre meninos de 10, 12 anos que existe uma relação entre preferência para o jogo violento e valores de vida violentos.
Esses jogos de guerra, se você for ver, eles têm uma questão histórica muito grande, eles têm sempre uma preocupação e todo um investimento em realmente tornar isso da forma mais verídica possível, mas tudo isso remete à violência. Não, na verdade remete à nossa história.
That thing is just so weird because when we went to CPL USA, in Dallas, they asked us what we were going to do in the country, and we said we're going to be in a tournament for computer games. And then they asked us, is the tournament or is the games violent? And that's just a weird question. They have professional boxing on, when guys beating the hell out of each other in real life. And then they just they don't give a shit about boxing. They ask if the games are violent because you can get mental ill.
It might be the thing that makes someone who isn't mentally stable